defined by LGBTQ plus. I feel like maybe they were just unique people there that could be defined by more than just that, you know?
There's all kinds of people. I mean, Lighted Tree was, a lot of people came from out of town. A lot of people came from Tampa. A lot of, just because it was a deep place to be. On Sunday, was the beach and the Lighted Tree. And then later on in the evening, there was a tea dance over in Tampa at a bar there. But Sunday was a big party day.
Did you hear anything about the Lighted Tree that burned down? Did anyone ever?
I was in Atlanta at the time when it burned down, and my mother called me because she had read about it in the paper and wanted me to know that it had burned down. And I was like, nothing I can do about it. But
when you were there, did you feel like maybe something bad would or could happen? Like,
I didn't think that
bad
that would happen.
Or did you feel like there was tensions possibly, or?
Well, like I said, the biker bar across the street could be, cause problems, throwing beer bottles and stuff like that. But those incidents weren't on a regular basis or anything, just when they got...
Yeah, I didn't get to read the newspaper article about what exactly happened. I have like the general history of the Lighted Tree.
Well, nobody was there when it burned down. It burned down at night. I don't know. So I'm assuming somebody probably.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever found out whether if it was arson or not, but...
Yeah, I actually did some research on like years and stuff that arson was like present like the last 30 years, and like, this is just me. I did like what years it spiked. Like I believe like with like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there was 10 cases of arson. It's usually by the same person. So I did research on like that and like popular years. So I mean, I could share that with you later if you
Well, like I said, I was living in Atlanta at the time, so and I had already left, and started something new.
Okay. You definitely told me a lot. I appreciate it. Have you seen any significant structural or societal changes during your time in the beaches that have affected your experience, either positively or negatively, and why it had that effect? So maybe it changed into the hurricane or the Lighted Tree getting burnt down, and maybe there's other things that have changed that has affected your experience.
I think the AIDS epidemic was the biggest thing that affected me because my second partner ended up dying of AIDS, and actually my first one did too. That was probably the main thing that changed in my life, that, a lot of people that I knew died. Some really very good friends too, and it's very painful to watch someone you love die. And
so, since those time periods or around the 80s, do you think, obviously the AIDS epidemic has maybe, I guess you could say, like, not slowed down. I can't think of the right word for it, but it's not as a large epidemic.
It's not a threat like it was then.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be diagnosed with it and be gone in 3 months.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah. So do you think, like, with the lessening of that and the
well, they've made a lot of strides, and now it's not a death sentence like
yeah,
it was when you first back in the 80s.
Do you think that helped the community there?
Oh, well, that, yeah.
Are there any, like, so what was it, the one that changed to the hurricane?
Jack's 809.
Jack's 809. It changed to the hurricane, and the Lighted Tree burnt down. Were there any other places that have popped up since then, or?
Well, there was a family that owned the hotel there, the Falkensteins. In fact, one of the sons was mayor of Pasadena, and they basically always wanted to buy up all that property because they did not like gay people, and they didn't want them on the beach. They didn't want them in the bars, and they were directly responsible for Jack's 809 being closed. And then they turned it into their own bar. So, and they were always trying to get the Lighted Tree in trouble by calling the police and saying they got too many people in there, or the music's too loud, or something. And they even got them, well, you can only have so many people in here, so we had to have somebody sit at the door and only let so many people in, and, you know, as other ones would leave. Just things to cause problems for the gay community so that they didn't want to be down on the beach.
Yeah, just
They
more
were trying to
problems.
get rid of them. It never worked until it finally burned down.
Okay, so I feel like these questions focus on negativity. Let's focus on like a little bit of positivity. So, when you were there, did you feel like there was networking or anything that, I personally don't want like a generalized answer, but maybe you met someone that helped you get a job or something along the lines of that. Maybe you met someone who helped you, I don't know, I just think of jobs when I think of, or just anything. I like the lover answer, but I'm just curious, like maybe other things like in your life, maybe you have a hobby or something I don't know about, or anything that like you discovered about yourself.
You know, I moved to Atlanta, and a friend of mine who I met here, and we went into a bar venture, and he was living in Atlanta. So he invited me to come up there and live with him and open up a bar together. So that was a venture that I did do. It failed miserably, and I ended up back here again. And at that time, I decided to give up the bar business and get serious about a career, and went back to college and finished my paralegal degree, and I've been in a paralegal for same law firm for 27 years now.
Is there anything that helped guide you to paralegal? And
it's just that, you know, the age process happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the gay community, yeah, once you start getting older, you know, they like to hire younger bartenders and younger blah blah, you know, kind of thing. And I just decided I needed things like health insurance, a 401k, and a pension and profit sharing or something.
Yeah.
And decided to get serious with my life instead of, you know, bartending and DJing from, you know, different spots. And
okay. Let me see here, because some of these are just, you've actually already answered them. Yeah, this is an interesting one, definitely. Do you think the younger generations have improved the ways we represent our diversity, and where do you think we're lacking? What advice would you give to future generations dealing with these misrepresentations of diversity? So maybe some of the troubles you face that maybe they are facing today.
well, I think it's easier for them today, the younger people, and because a lot of us older people went through all the crap and got things changed. I mean, so that it's a better life for the younger people coming out, and there's more support for them, whereas there was none when I came out. You know, it was like pretty much on my own. I don't know if that answers that, but
Well, I mean, yeah. But if they were to face any of like the, you know, like how you had the spray paint on the fence, and maybe if somebody had that same situation or something similar of like just discrimination or anything along those lines, what would you recommend to them? Like, how do you think they should handle it? How do you think they should grow from it? like from your experiences?
Not quite sure how to answer that. It's I don't believe in anything violent or anything like that. I you know,
Like advice wise, like what advice would you give them? Like should they talk to someone, or maybe just, I don't know, maybe become a stronger person in their community? Just anything you think, like, I don't know. There are a lot of organizations now that.
well, that's what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
that and they stay together and help each other. So it's, I think that's what I would recommend for them to seek, you know.
I also think one of the biggest things, and that's the reason why we're doing this, is that like the interviews and stuff, is that so we could get these voices and these stories told to people who aren't a part of the community, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand what a lot of people have experienced within this community. They only see it from the outside, like, and how you can't take away the community. You should like be with them, work with them if you're not a part of it. You know, we're all human beings. So
I think though a lot of people, especially like during Gay Pride, a lot of straight people love to go to Gay Pride. It's a lot of fun, and they're welcome. We don't have a problem with that, as long as they, you know,
aren't bashing.
hate bashing. Yeah. I think we've come a long way since, you know, for acceptance, and even for young people coming out. I think that parents are even more tolerant of, you know, and more understanding.
I agree with that. So who, I asking these because they're on the list. Who has the responsibility to fix these problems or under misrepresentation? What role do people in your community play, and what role do people outside of your community play? So I'm assuming this is asking like the interaction between the two communities. Like, what do you believe the LGBTQ plus community should be doing for, like, to getting their voice out there, while also what should the outside community be doing to like empower the community, like, you know, basically bring them together? What should both sides be doing, like people who aren't a part of the community and people who are? I have to keep elaborating because these questions, I feel like they're not very well worded, some of them.
I don't know, like I said, I think that the gay communities and the other communities have started to come together a lot. And, you know, there's not hate, and, you know, that there used to be. I don't know what to make it any better. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think the more people are educated in things like that, and
So do you believe like doing something like this would help? Like
sure.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's helpful. Because some people,
We're gonna have to wrap up here quick.
yeah, I think I have like 2 questions maybe, and because I think you answered everything pretty solid.